Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Blue Knight 7, coming again with another episode of the Blue Knight Cast. And today I wanted to talk about something I've wanted to do an episode on for a bit and just talk about, but the state of PC gaming as of today, February 9th, 2026, when I recorded this. Long story short, it sucks right now. Yeah, I know. Uh, there's been a lot of discourse online about this already, but I do want to talk about it and just kind of give my quick take on the situation and maybe give advice for people who are PC gamers. Now, I have done quite a few episodes so far, kind of centered around Nintendo games, Nintendo gaming, but I'm also a PC gamer. It's not my primary, even though it probably should be considering what I've invested in this rig. But um, it is something that I have done for years. There's a few PC games I play a lot, but I also got a Steam backlog like most of PC gamers do these days. And the reason uh, there's so much discourse on the state of PC gaming for those who just don't know is AI is kind of ruining the industry, specifically the build a gaming PC industry, and it's just kind of hard right now. If you was wanting to get into the hobby of building a gaming PC and playing PC games on a high level, and there's many sources online you can look to. It's sort of an ongoing thing in the news as it is, but generally speaking, a lot of your companies that are known for making PC parts, NVIDIA being a gigantic one, um, the company behind Crucial that makes RAM chips a lot of people use in their computers. Uh, Samsung is also fairly prominent these days, especially with solid state drives. And they are basically pulling out of the consumer market, at least temporarily, because they are fully investing their supply lines into supplying RAM, solid state drives, GPUs, etc., uh, to companies like OpenAI, who are in the process of building large data centers. For those who don't know, picture large commercial building, rows and rows of just server racks inside, to power the infrastructure for AI, because there's still this understanding that there's going to be an ever increasing demand for AI and a big surge in demand for AI in the coming years. Because of that, we now effectively have a RAM shortage for PCs, especially DDR5 memory. DDR4 is starting to feel some strain as well. NVIDIA recently announced that they do not intend to release any new GPUs for a while. And Samsung has been giving out warnings on a fairly regular basis that they expect solid state memory and just memory in general to be going at a premium. And what does that mean for the consumer that wants to build a gaming PC? It means your RAM's about to get very expensive. It means your solid state drives, which is preferred storage of choice these days, is about to get very expensive. RAM already has gotten very expensive. Solid state drives have already got a price increase, but worse. It's going to be worse, apparently. And GPUs, they were already expensive, and I would argue more money than they should have been. And now it's just ridiculous to go on eBay, Amazon, wherever you want to go and try to buy one. And as you know, these are all kind of important parts for any computer, and especially if you're building a gaming PC. Now, how long will this last? Not clear. Um, 2026 for sure. From if you look to most experts, 2026 for sure. It may go into 2028. Hopefully not. And there's also some people who theorize. I'll point to Rich from Review Tech USA as someone who's been constantly harping on this. He thinks they're going to use this infrastructure to try to take away the sale of fairly powerful local hardware to consumers and eventually try to force on the market just these low powered client devices that access these data centers through the cloud, let's say, and you're basically renting gaming PC hardware in those data centers. Even if AI doesn't meet demand, they'll replace it with cloud computing. Pretty much. I hope that's not true, and I would fight that tooth and nail if that's what happens. I promise you that. And in case it needs to be said, here at the Blue Knight Cast, Blue Knight 7, Blue Knight Studios, we are, we being I, is fully against AI and the propagation of AI as it currently stands. And I know it's easy to just blame AI for everything, but I think it's more than that. I'm not really trying to blame a technology. I'm not saying it can't have some uses. Summarizing search results is probably how I've ended up using it more than anything else. Not really by will, it's just more like you search for something on Google and it pops up in front of you. And but instead of blaming AI itself, I think people need to be more specific. Kind of a problem I see in society is in general. We want to blame something, but we probably need to blame three other people instead on a lot of things. But in this case, we need to blame the corporate CEO class, the higher level management of corporations, companies, so on, because they see this as some miracle tool that's going to reduce payroll hours. That's really what AI is. If you want to know what the buzz for AI is, this is the excuse to reduce payroll by making a smaller number of workers hopefully more productive, more efficient. Now, there's been all kinds of accounts. I'm not getting into it. If you want to look online, you'll see. But I think there is an ongoing narrative that if you're willing to accept AI slop, as it's being called, just, if you don't care about errors, yeah, it can be useful. It can help you get over the hump on a few tasks quickly, jobs or tasks quickly. But if you're wanting precision, if you're wanting just a good quality job done, the hell with AI, just get a good human. And but you'll see the higher levels management, because it doesn't threaten their job, because all they do is sit around and call shots. We can question the quality of the shots they're calling, but it's not a threat to them so much as it is to middle management down below, white collar management in the lower positions, to middle management, in the hopes that it'll replace some of the thinking tasks those people do and require only a smaller number of employees. That's what's really driving all this. That's what's driving investment, because they think expenses are going to go down and profits are going to go up. That's why the stock on a lot of these companies like Nvidia is going up. They think there's going to be much better efficiency, expense to profit ratio, efficiency in the future. But so far, it's been kind of a hollow promise. So I'm blaming the CEO class or the higher management business class. I am blaming stockholders for kind of making a feeding frenzy on it. I believe we do have an AI bubble that keeps growing and hasn't quite popped yet. But I'm going to throw another one out, and this may be you. And if you get mad, you get mad. But I'll say it. The AI slop users who are willing to accept this error stuff just for a shortcut to get to something. Whether it's an image that could have been photoshopped or made using a free program like GIMP, GIMP, GIMP. Whether it's or Corel Draw, let's say, whether it's using these using it to make stupid videos that are just stupid videos. Whether it's, of course, some may say I'm making a stupid video right now, to which I'll just say, okay, sure. And but at least I'm making it with a human voice and not that generic AI voice or those AI voices you feel like you hear 100 times that have no soul and expression. But that cycle is what's feeding it. NVIDIA is profiting the most because they're making the actual silicon chips. You see, NVIDIA is probably the only one that's actually making a product out of this right now, which is chips to keep the AI thing going. But what has it actually done to help normal people like you and me? It's kind of harder to see the benefit right now. I'm sure there will be some uses, but it's not going to be the miracle drug they seem to be selling it as. And I do think, going back more to the stockholders, I do think there's going to be a bubble here eventually where they come to their senses a bit. And prices on certain tech companies, especially NVIDIA, especially Microsoft, especially OpenAI, are going to fall. And it's not going to be pretty for some people. I do not like bubbles popping, recessions, etc., but it's probably going to be necessary for AI the way things are angling themselves. The hope, of course, would be PC components hit rock bottom. But they probably won't, but they'll probably normalize into something more like they should be, and we can talk about building rigs again. But enough about my rant on AI. What can PC gamers do to make 2026 a more successful year for gaming? Um, I have some suggestions. Now, for me, just being quite honest, I'm running a 3-year-old machine that is using an Intel Core i7 12700 and an RTX 3080, the Zotac edition that happen to have 12 gigabytes of VRAM, also sporting 32 gigs of RAM. Not saying that to brag, but I am saying that to say that while I don't have the best possible system you could build, I'd like to think I'm okay for a while, especially where AMD and NVIDIA has slowed their output of new GPUs because of this AI revolution, as they want to believe it is. Could I get a 5080 and improve performance? Yeah. Could I get a AMD R, you know, 9070 RX, I believe, or 9070 XT? Yeah. It'd probably improve my raster performance, ray tracing performance. NVIDIA 5080 would give me frame gen, which is something I don't have, but not really something I ever really wanted to have. I don't like the idea of fake frames. Maybe if I had a 4080 or a 5080, they would change my mind, but no. Or even a 5070, it might change my mind, but no, I don't like that. I don't like being sold AI stuff when I just want real power. Give me some real power. But I like to think I'm okay this year. And we could always use a little more storage, but still, I'd like to think I'm okay this year. But what I would probably do for my rig, and this is my first suggestion to people, consider upgrading your CPU if you can. Um, like for me, with my board, I could easily acquire, say, a 14700 uh, Intel Core 14700 and not have to change my board or anything else. And that would give me some performance gains, not big, but some. I think it also ups the wattage, but I already have a 1000 watt PSU. So I should be in good shape if I just wanted to upgrade my CPU, and that would give me some frame rate gains. Now, not everybody can just do what I just said. You have to look at your board, you have to look at what you're starting from and decide if it's worth it or not. If you have to get a new board, I would advise make sure you're getting DDR4 RAM slots on your board, or a board that's compatible with DDR4, because DDR5 is the one that everybody's having trouble buying, and that's the one that's very expensive. DDR4 is going to get a little harder as we go on, so I would get it now. That's the other piece of advice. If you're going to do something this year, just do it now if you can. Because if you need to acquire DDR4, my understanding is you still can, but it's harder. You're already paying a little more than you should, and it's going to get worse. Same for SSDs. Same for GPUs. But GPUs have already been bad. PC gaming hasn't been ideal for a while. So be on the lookout for deals though. Because even in bad times, you can still find a random good deal. So just be willing to be patient and look and see. Blind hog gets an acorn every now and then, as they say, where I'm from. And maybe you can get lucky on a part that makes a rig upgrade happen. If you're trying to build a rig from scratch, go pre-built. Just find a good deal on a pre-built. You're going to need the savings on that this year, I think. Better to do that, and depending on the machine you get, if you can get more of a gaming influenced machine, you're more likely to have some upgrade potential in the way the chassis is built and so on. So I would try to get a pre-built, like iBuyPower or something like that. Try to find a deal, best deal you can, and start with that. That way you get the whole package and run with that. Another thing you should consider upgrading, like if I was to upgrade something on my, what probably the most uh, useful upgrade for me after the CPU would probably be the cooling. I've been actually using my stock cooler with my Intel CPU, and I haven't had any significant temperature problems, um, anything to mention. But if I was to get the 14700, which I understand they use more wattage, run hotter, I might get a more dedicated, like a more uh, specialty CPU cooler, more larger heat sink, just a little more for heat management. Um, if I bought one right now, it would probably be a Vetru V5. You can find them on eBay, Amazon, pretty easy. Uh, I think that would probably be good. There's a Cooler Master. It's sort of a classic most people think to go to as well. I would probably just consider trying to do that. There is liquid cooling. I'm not questioning the fact that it does the job well, but you can make a good machine with just air cooling and proper heat sink. So probably a Vetru V5, something like that, or a Cooler Master. And another thing you could consider right now is you don't really hear about power supplies going up. If you have a lower wattage power supply, you might consider upgrading that as well. Some of the more recent graphics cards have been a little more demanding as to wattage. especially on the NVIDIA side. So I would probably consider trying to get your wattage up. If you have a 500 watt, maybe try to do 750, or ideally, if you can just find a deal on a 1,000 watt power supply, go for it. Just make sure it has good certifications. Don't want anybody's PC catching fire here. And other things to consider, just thinking outside the box, maybe this is the year where you try to upgrade your gaming setup instead. Do you need a better desk? Do you need a better chair? Do you need to do anything with your surroundings to make it better? I know I could right now. So you should consider that. Like, the general theme here is you're going to pay way too much for RAM, storage memory, GPUs this year. So just stay away from it. Work on everything else. Work on your surroundings. Make your environment a little better if you can. That's, you may spend less money and still have a good benefit. You know. Also, and I think this one's a little obvious, and some may say duh, but I'm going to say it. Just play through your backlog this year. If you're like me, you have a lot of games on Steam. You bought them during those sales when they cost $5 or $10 or whatever it was, or even cheaper. And now you have a list of games you haven't even booted up yet. Let's be honest, we all do. It's a dirty secret about any gamer and PC gamer. That's not even a secret. So, you already have games probably that run in your system requirements that you just haven't turned on yet. So why don't you just play those? Get through them. Enjoy them. For me, probably the next game like that I would want to boot up, and I've been meaning to, is Ace Combat 7. It's been out for quite a while. I just never played it. Wanted to. There's a Switch version. I never bought it because I had it in Steam already with all the DLC that I got on Steam sale. So why don't you just do that this year? It's a good year to catch up on a little bit of that. It really is. I built this rig to make sure it runs Cyberpunk. And, I've played a lot of Cyberpunk. I've played a lot of Battletech as well. Hope to do an episode just kind of highlighting Battletech a little bit. Maybe Cyberpunk. And because I play as many hours of them as I have. And, once you kind of hit the marks for Cyberpunk to where you can play it on your machine, there's not a whole lot bigger than Cyberpunk that I can think of. Most of your features on a high-end NVIDIA card these days just helps you get more out of the ultra and ray tracing and path tracing settings on Cyberpunk, because the frame rate is crap when you jack everything up. And most games don't need all that. I built this machine to be a little bit better than, it's just another general piece of advice. When I was speccing out this machine, I tried to make sure it would punch a little above whatever, say, an Xbox Series X would do, because I thought that would be like the best system this generation for pure power. Best console. PlayStation 5 seems to be beating it now, and of course now we're talking about PlayStation 5 Pro. But still, I tried to get a newer architecture. I tried to get something that I thought would punch above the equivalent AMD hardware that those consoles have. So I've kind of been coasting for 5 years of a console generation without worrying too much about hardware, or at least the last 3 years, 4 years now, going on 4, without having to think too much about upgrading my hardware. So when you build a system, try to at least hit what the current consoles are now, or what you think the next consoles will be. Because honestly, a lot of your game development's anchored around them. Cyberpunk was kind of anchored around what Xbox Series X could do, or even S could do. But also, they swung for the fences with PC. And that's why most people game on PC, because I get it. You're wanting to do the most you can do and tweak your settings and do all, use the latest and greatest instead of hoping your console comes out with a new version in the next 5 years. I get that. But probably have a lot of games that work for your machine as it is that you can just play for now. 2026 is the year where you kind of just try not to waste your money on those parts. Wait for the AI bubble to pop, because it has to. And then try to find good deals on those parts then. And if Jeff Bezos thinks he's going to make me rent a PC from him, he can kiss my ass. With that, I'll conclude this episode of the Blue Knight Cast, episode 26, the state of PC gaming, as of February 9th, 2026. I hope you enjoyed this. If so, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm trying to put out stuff on a more regular basis. This will probably go out for Tuesday, February 10th. And I'll try to keep making stuff more regular, though I may space a day here and there just for sanity. But thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Have a good day.